Dude, are you telling me you're a men's rights activist and you can't even define for me what the word masculinity means? Dude, are you telling me you're a trans rights activist and you can't even define for me what the word women means?
So one of the many things that starts off shocking about gender identity fundamentalists and then just becomes normal through sheer repetition is the fact that they cannot define any of their terms. And that almost becomes like a point of pride for them because they turn it into a moral argument and they say, well, if the terms are defined logically, then you can only come to what we consider to be immoral answers. So therefore, the logic is wrong based on that. And this is why you'll see a lot of gender critical people, Posey Parker, the dude with the billboards, Billboard Chris in Canada, displaying the dictionary definition of woman, which is adult human female, because gender identity ideology can only function in this soup of self-referential definitions, or circular definitions, which are widely understood to be logically inconsistent or logically incoherent. So, for example, the classic, what is a woman? The gender identity fundamentalist is going to say anyone who identifies as a woman, but that then means that the definition of the word contains the word itself, which makes it circular. And there's no getting around this. I have never ever seen any attempt to provide a more coherent definition of woman. That's not 100% true. I have seen attempts, but they've all been wildly unsuccessful. Usually the attempt is just trying to give some sort of reason for why they don't have to give a coherent definition, or just ignoring the fact that having a circular definition is a problem logically, because coherence is the problem that they have in the first place. So using this postmodern thought process where everything gets pulled apart at this metabolic level, they kind of have this grey goo effect on words where, the word woman doesn't mean anything anymore. The word man doesn't mean anything anymore. Trans is just anyone who identifies as trans, which is also self-referential. Non-binary is anyone who identifies as non-binary. And you just have all these words that now have no substance. And they can't have any substance because it's all about appealing to the whims of the individual.
What is in this?
That's cheese.
What is in this?
That's cheese.
And this, what is this?
Cheese also.
And what is this one?
That's cheese.
This one over here, what is it?
Cheese.
And this?
That's cheese.
And this?
Cheese.
And this?
Cheese.
And what is this? Is it coffee? Is this a rice?
That's cheese also.
The idea of collective things like definitions is kind of antithetical to the absolute self-ID fundamentalism that is that's being pushed by bourgeois liberals like Sam Cedar. So anyway, one of the things that Sam does, which is commendable, is he takes open calls at the end of his show, and from what I understand, will pretty much debate anybody. So he has this men's rights activist on, and it's a chance for this brand of liberalism to flash its feminist credentials. So at one point, Sam asks the guy what is his definition of masculinity. The guy gives a pretty working definition that most people would understand masculinity to be, which is the social construct of the idea of there being a particular way to be a man.
What is masculinity?
I would say that masculinity is defined as the social conventions that someone would expect of someone who appears to be male.
Expect?
But I don't
Wait.
But like we said, Sam doesn't really understand the gender debates at all. He just gets the TPS report, which tells him which side he's on.
Make these your primary action items.
So Sam starts saying, oh, gender isn't inside you. You don't have a gender in you.
Expect. So you don't have masculinity. I impose it on you. Is that what you're saying?
I did not say that, no.
Well, if you're telling me that the definition of masculinity is what other people expect, you're saying it has nothing to do with you, that you don't have masculinity. I impose it on you.
So yeah, here we have Sam Cedar arguing for magical gender essences, this spirit that exists inside your mortal flesh body and needs to be allowed to express itself. Except unlike with Scientology, where you just pay tens of thousands of dollars to have imaginary ghosts removed to free your true spirit.
You said it, Chewie.
With medicalized gender transition, you cut off healthy tissue and organs and medical interventions to shorten people's life expectancy.
Can you please send in Keith?
I want to remove my nipples and my belly button.
What about sensitivity?
Why?
Why?
Just to be artful, you know?
So I remember when breast implants came out and plastic surgeons thought it was crazy. And then it became instantly accepted. It's just another variation
But what
on body
happened to those doctors in the beginning that actually started doing breast implants? What happened to them?
The breast implants that are on the market right now all have issues, says Madras Holmes, a former FDA manager who tracks reported medical device failures at her device events firm. I wouldn't recommend them to anyone that I care about.
They got an HBO special. I can remember my mentor. I remember the day liposuction was a thing.
Wait, what is this place? A liposuction clinic.
And he said he was a professor at UCLA. That is the most ridiculous thing ever.
Aha, pay dirt.
Ridiculous thing ever. And it's become like the number one.
Yeah.
Richest, creepiest fat in the world.
Number one.
Yeah.
So maybe this is a natural progression
Oh, yeah.
of modification.
So they don't show you the whole thing, but basically in the end, the doctors turn him down and say that they're not going to cut this guy's nipples off. And they say something to the effect of cutting away healthy tissue is kind of against the Hippocratic Oath, or something to that effect. Like, yeah, that they would get in trouble for damaging healthy tissue like that. And it's like, okay, so if this guy at full-grown adult age can't electively get rid of his belly button, how is it that medical companies have convinced people that 13-year-old kids can not only process the ramifications of what that type of surgery is, but also have more legitimacy to make that decision based on the ambiguous and ill-defined concepts of gender identity?
Aha, pay dirt.
And then Emma Vigeland expands upon this notion, kind of backing up Sam's idea that masculinity is within us.
You're saying it has nothing to do with you. That's my expectation.
Sounds like you're gender fluid. Sounds like you're gender fluid.
This one over here, what is that?
By suggesting that because the caller may not feel drawn towards mainstream masculinity, that's obviously evidence that you've got this fluid gender ghost, like, you know that rainbow ice cream? Yeah, everyone else has a pink ghost, but you've got this multicolored ghost. That's why you're thinking that. Which is great, because that's like the complete antithesis to so much feminist thought. And he has to do this weird, like, little 360 where later on, the other co-host, who isn't Emma, whose name escapes me at the moment, she brings up social construction, because that's obviously like a left idea. And Sam has to suddenly go, oh, yeah, so social construction anyway.
Masculinity is not a scientifically defined term, so no.
The social construct is what you're saying?
It's a social construct, and there's nothing about that social construct. You're saying it has nothing to do with you, that you don't have masculinity. I impose it on you. It's a social construct. You're saying it has nothing to do with you. Social construct.
Ask 10 different people, you get 10 different answers.
Or you ask one Sam Cedar 2.5 minutes apart and you can get 2 different answers.
You're saying it has nothing to do with you. It's a social construct.
So,
Yeah, but that's not how this works. If you're going to use this as your basis and your argument, you have to actually provide some sort of evidence. Fundamentally false, dude. Fundamentally false.
Dude, are you telling me you're a men's rights activist and you can't even define for me what the word masculinity means? Dude, are you telling me you're a trans rights activist and you can't even define for me what the word women means? My first gut reaction, do you want me to be totally honest? I think you're a lunatic. You asked me to be honest, and I wasn't going to disrespect you by not being honest.